Hello, everyone. I am Sharon Waxman, the CEO and the editor-in-chief of TheWrap. We are so happy to have you here for our 2021 award screening series ahead of this year's Academy Awards. Today, we are excited to bring you One Night in Miami, which is nominated for Best Adapted Screenplay, and the amazing Leslie Odom Jr., who is nominated for both Best Supporting Actor and Best Original Song for Speak Now. So we're gonna have a lot to talk about. We're gonna start by showing you all the trailer of the movie, and then we will go into a conversation with Leslie. To those of you in our audience, please feel free to participate in the live chat of the stream. Tell us your thoughts about the film, about the conversation, and let us know where you're coming from, because so many of you are coming from all over the world, and we're very excited to welcome you into this Oscars conversation. So before we introduce our guest, here is the trailer for One Night in Miami.
You brothers, you could move mountains without lifting a finger.
Minister Malcolm X.
Good news, the chariot is coming.
Who's the greatest? That's right.
Jim Brown takes the ball.
Your record is going to stand the test of time.
All together, yeah. The entire city of Miami is celebrating. I'm the new heavyweight champion of the world, and I don't even have a scratch on my face. Oh my goodness.
Cash. What's on, Cash?
Why am I so pretty?
Hey, congratulations, champ.
I can get used to that.
I was made in America, land of the free, home of the brave.
This movement that we are in is called a struggle. Because we are fighting for our lives.
Welcome to America.
This ain't about civil rights.
Welcome to America.
They ain't giving black people what they really want.
What's that?
Hey, I was made in America. That's why I'm out here saving America.
Power.
Black power.
I like the sound of that.
I wish I lived in America.
We have to be there for each other.
Heard everybody rich, all I gotta do is run, jump, kick, I'm a hit in your area. I done made it to America. I'm amazed at America. Welcome to America.
And welcome back. It's my pleasure to introduce the Oscar nominee for Best Supporting Actor and Best Original Song, Leslie Odom Jr.
Sharon, thanks so much for having me.
Welcome to you. Let me just give a little brief on your background so people know how incredibly accomplished you are. Leslie Odom Jr. is a Tony and Grammy Award-winning performer spanning Broadway, television, film, and music. He is best known, of course, for his breakout role as Aaron Burr in the smash hit Broadway musical Hamilton, for which he won the Tony Award for Best Actor in a Musical and a Grammy Award as a principal soloist in the original cast recording. Leslie also voiced the character of Owen Tillerman in Josh Gad's animated musical comedy series Central Park on Apple TV Plus, for which he received an Emmy nomination. He can also be seen in the newly released filmed performance of the original Broadway production of Hamilton on Disney Plus and in the limited series Love in the Time of Corona on Freeform. This spring, he will star in The Many Saints of Newark, a prequel to David Chase's award-winning HBO series, The Sopranos. But first, we're going to get to talk to him about One Night in Miami, in which he plays the real-life figure, Sam Cooke, in this incredible story about four great figures of Black cultural history, I would say of American cultural history, and the story of how they met one night in a hotel room in the wake of Muhammad Ali, then Cassius Clay's victory over Sonny Liston, and how he and Malcolm X and Cassius Clay and Jim Brown, the football star, interact and talk about a lot of things. I mean, it's a wonderful film. I watched it again last night, Leslie. First of all, welcome.
Thank you. I wish I could have been off camera for that, for all the.
Oh no, you have to sit there and blush. Sorry. Yes, you just have to learn how to take a humble brag bow. You are so incredibly accomplished. You are still so young, and 2 Oscar nominations. Let's just start with that. How does that feel?
Well, not to be this guy, but
Yeah, go ahead.
it feels like a wonderful beginning in a lot of ways. Film is so new to me, and it's a very public way to learn. I sort of envy the people that understand it right away, that understand the storytelling and the form right away. I don't think I did. Coming from the theater was much more natural to me, much more natural fit. So it's just been a process of learning, in a very public way. Not all the films that I've done have been well received. I haven't been well received in all of them. So anyway, this obviously feels like a wonderful place to start from. That's what I mean. It can sound, but it just feels like I can build from here. And it's also something because it was just awards and stuff like that was the last thing that we were thinking about on that set.
Oh,
it was
really?
just the
Really?
farthest thing from our minds.
But you guys are all playing, in many ways, with the exception of Malcolm X, who's a political figure. You're all playing people who are performing at the very highest register of your respective professions. So, the idea that Courtney Kemp, the writer, has of and of course the play of being a fly on the wall, listening, what is it that people who are friends and in the Black community and at the very, very peak of what they do, what do they talk about? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's
well, the conversation made a lot of sense to me. In a lot of ways, this was the conversation we were having backstage at Hamilton.
Really?
We of course, every time, Sandra Bland or Philando Castile, when unarmed Black people are murdered on the side of the road, we were asking ourselves backstage and wrestling with what is our responsibility to the world outside this theater, to our communities, what what must we do, with this moment, with this notoriety. We knew we were just doing a little play, a silly little musical, but we also knew on any given night.
I don't think that's a fair description, really, but continue.
Well, we have access to leaders and luminaries and
every night,
to world changers. So what is our responsibility? So the conversation I recognize, but when I say the awards stuff, the bar that I was trying to clear was I just didn't want to embarrass myself. It was they were big old shoes, Sam Cooke's shoes, and I wanted to honor the man who I respected so much, and so every day there was just never a point where it was relaxed. It was tense every day, good tension because it's about the work, but it was tense and fraught and just careful work every single day. And I think that the awards that have made them, and the awards and the attention that has made the most sense to me, and has really meant a great deal, is all the Ensemble Awards that we've won. We've won we racked up quite a few of those this season, because that we really wanted to do. We really wanted to gel.
For sure. Well, that you absolutely did. So I was mentioning, I watched it again last night. We had Regina King, who we actually adore, or here at TheWrap. We had her as a speaker at our Power Women Summit. She's certainly a power woman, but a delightful human being, just gonna say. Anyway, so we all got to see the movie a little bit early on, and I liked it better even upon rewatching. I guess because I knew more of what to expect, and I could really listen more deeply to the issues that you as a group are discussing, and the interpersonal what is the word, there's just a certain that tension that you're referring to. You sort of feel it between what's really interesting about these characters, and we can talk specifically about Sam Cooke in a minute, but just in general, when we're talking about the interplay between them, is that every single one of them are extremely confident and accomplished. And I think a word that I heard attached to some of the press notes was unapologetic, which feels really right. Like every single one of these men did not ask for permission, just did themselves, just express themselves. And at a time when the civil rights movement is raging, they're each following their potential. And so that to hear you guys come together and each of you state your positions about where you are on the civil rights issues, where you are about Cassius Clay becoming a Muslim, where you are about whether politics should inform art, whether politics has a place in art, or whether your art needs to serve your politics, which I think is at the heart of the conversation you guys are having, is beautifully weighted. So talk a little bit about, let's just talk about that tension that you're referring to for a minute. Like, how did you prepare for that? Was that something that you brought to the set every day and just went, or you talked about it before and then, developed it?
Yeah, I think it works best when the ensemble was put together so thoughtfully, I think, and so expertly, really, with the four of us, as performers. I think, we shared enough in our processes and we share enough in our ethos of what we think we're meant to do when we're called to a set. So there's just the four of us, Aldous and Eli and Kingsley and myself, and Regina too included in that. And I can't say enough about the script, about the screenplay that Kemp Powers gave us. So well researched.
Did I say Courtney Kemp? I meant Kemp Powers. I think I misspoke earlier.
Oh.
Pardon me. Kemp
It's
Powers.
Okay.
Yes.
Where, the men and their ideas, their points of view are so well researched. He brought his experience and his expertise as a journalist to the writing of that script. Yeah. So you had that, and there's a wonderful, it's combustible when, the more that I invested in Sam's rightness, the more that I invested in his belief that he was doing what was right, and that he has, while it maybe I've made mistakes, but I've done the very best that I can. And here's my track record. The more that I took in the rhythms and the passages of text that Kemp had gifted me with, and really just committed them to memory and within myself, the better scene partner I would be to Kingsley. The better I could contribute to the dynamic in that room, the more I could offer to the film's tension and to the film's central drama, really, which is the ideas, this conversation, the bouncing off of one another. So it was like, all I had to do was learn that text and believe in it, and it was easy to do because it was so closely aligned to, while we don't know if Sam said these literal words, it was about his life. His life was on trial in that room, thanks to Malcolm.
That's an interesting way of putting it. That's an interesting way of putting it. Let's talk also about how you approach your work in general. Are you coming to it first and foremost musically, or are you coming to it first and foremost as an actor who's a gifted singer? And is that may not be a fair question, but the music's so strong.
I'm through depending on the project, I'm desperately looking for a way in. I'm looking for the open door, what's going to lead me to, which doors is open, and what's going to lead me to the, to the greatest bounty to pull from. And with Sam, it was, music was the way into Sam. And I started with, there were a couple of, they call them needle drops in the movie where, you send me, and for sentimental reasons, there are a couple of times where they just drop a needle and you hear me as Sam singing. So I started the process of this movie recording those things. So I got to crawl into the original Cook recordings and do my best to not only imitate, imitation is part of it, but really, the singing voice in a lot of ways is like a deep psychological profile as well. The voice tells you so much about where a person is from geographically, what worlds they grew up in, who they might have been listening to. For instance, Sam, it had never really struck me how sensual Sam is. Sort of really studying that, the timeline of his recordings, and going back to that gospel stuff, I was like, aha, I understand why these teenage girls were falling out in the aisles at the gospel shows. Sam, Aretha Franklin fell in love with Sam as a teenage girl when he was a gospel singer. Right. It was not just because, he's handsome and all that, but there was a sensuality that Sam laid down these songs, and there was there was a confidence that he found in that. He understood his power, and not for nothing, it connected spirituality and sensuality. You know what I mean? Because it's holy what he's doing. It is holy, but it sort of connects like I think I've said it, but anyway, that's
amazing. That's amazing.
That just told me so much about the guy, about the soul of the guy.
Yeah. I think I remember you talking. We had you on our a panel of songwriters talking about music a couple weeks ago. So I listened to that conversation, which was fascinating. And I think you talked about initially thinking that it was going to be Sam Cooke's voice, and you were not going to be the guy singing.
No, why would anybody do that? Why would anybody attempt to sing Sam Cooke songs? Like, that seemed to me ludicrous. And I knew that. I also knew that. You have to understand. Like, I know that there's nobody. Who are you going to get? You're going to get. There's a list of 100 guys. I know for these movies, you gotta have a lot of options. And there's a lot of talent in Hollywood and all over the world.
And so was it like Regina called you up and said, like, sorry, Leslie, no, like it's you. It's you.
Well, I just knew that there was a lot of interest, and I could not understand why. I really, but I believed in Regina, and Regina believed in me. And so I honestly, I thought maybe they wanted somebody who understood singing, like, they're interested in me because when I lip sync, I will understand the breaths and stuff. And I thought, like, I know sometimes with lip syncing, it looks better if you actually sing.
Or singing, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right, and then they'll of course replace
dub you in. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I thought, I thought that at the most was what it was going to be, but to my surprise,
And you sing it so beautifully, so beautifully, and I'm sure that is part of why I think everybody did such a fantastic job in this in your ensemble. But I think that has to be what contributed to this particular nomination for you, that you integrate and that you do sing so beautifully and you embody Sam Cooke. So there's something, it's very moving. There's just no other way to put it. When you sing, change is going to come at the end of the film. And talk a little bit. Let's go to the theme of the movie just for a minute, because the heart of this story really is the confrontation between you and Malcolm X, in which you as Sam Cooke and you and Malcolm X, in which Malcolm X is challenging you, right? You're all in this hotel room and you're having kind of pretty intense discussions about what's going on in the world and what's your responsibility as I would say the most successful Black men of your time. Like, what is your responsibility to contribute to the same thing that you're talking about backstage at Hamilton, really essentially the same issues. And he takes out this recording of Bob Dylan's Blowin' in the Wind and puts it on for you. And, you know, the look on your face when you're listening to this as Sam Cooke. And he's saying Bob Dylan is using his art to change the world. Why aren't you? What's your sense of that argument?
One of the things that as Sam, I found most, you know, I was useful to me, you know, because it was the thing that wounded me. You know, it was so hurtful and so frustrating and so inexplicable. Was like, so you think it's so easy?
Yeah.
You think songs like Blowin' in the Wind just grow on trees? Of course I'd like to write a song like that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and that is in that moment, it's so frustrating because it is, you know, it goes to the heart of any performer. Of course you want to be brilliant and spectacular every moment that you do it. It comes when it comes. It comes when it comes. And you're doing the best. Sam Cooke is doing the very best he can. And in that moment, and Malcolm, you know, again, this isn't literally our film is, you know, in a lot of ways, it's historical fiction. You know, we know that night. We don't know, but we don't know what was said in the room.
We don't actually have a transcript. Yes, we know that.
We don't. But we do know that the song inspired and troubled him. You know, so
Blowin' in the Wind troubled him. Yes.
Yes. And Malcolm is in that way. He is he's a manifestation of Sam's insecurities, the way we all have. You know, whoever shows up in the mirror to mock you and ridicule you, whether it's, you know, the sixth grade bully or your stepdad or, you know, whoever it is that shows up to say you're not good enough. And so Malcolm is just that outward representation of that frustration in that moment. But yeah, that was it was like, I'm worth, you know, Sam he knew what he wanted to say, and he it was working on him. But again, it comes when it comes.
And is that what happened for your writing the song, which is a beautiful song that's nominated for the film? Your second nomination.
No, I wouldn't say that. You know, I didn't have you know, years and years to think about what I might want to say, but for our song, Regina actually requested 4 songs. She wanted 4 because she wanted to have a choice. It's her, you know, big moment for Regina as a directorial debut in this space, and so she didn't want me to just bring her the song and be like, here it is. She said, you know. So I was very looking back on it. It was a really good exercise because obviously the film was very personal to me, and I had so much. There's a lot riding on it for me too, and I don't mean in terms of awards. You know, I mean everything that I've already said. It was meaningful to me,
of course, and
so I wanted to deliver. So it was good for me, I think, actually not to have to put all that pressure on one song. You know, the fact that I got to spread that thing out, so no one song felt to me like this has got to be the one. I liked them all, and I knew if given the chance, any one of them with edits and a little bit of time could be made special. And Speak Now was the one that spoke.
Well, now I want to hear all of them, because Speak Now is beautiful. It's a beautiful, I'd say it's almost like an anthem, you know. Just talk for a minute, if you would, about what is the message behind that song, which is not hard to suss out if you hear it, and everyone who's listening should go hear it. It's on YouTube. It's absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, I don't know, we were thinking about I don't know. I guess I hesitate to say messages as an artist. You know what I mean? I try to put the messages. I try to put what I think meaning. I try to put meaning in the work myself.
Well, what were you thinking about when you wrote it? Maybe that's a better question.
Because it will be, and I just say, because the messages, like a lot of times when somebody hears message, they shut their brains off, and I find more often than not, an audience, a listener, a viewer, they can tell you things that are in the work that you didn't even know were there.
True.
True. But we were thinking a lot about Blowing in the Wind. We were thinking a lot about A Change Is Gonna Come, because we knew that, the space that those occupied in the movie. And then we were thinking about those ending credits. We were thinking about Sam and I both watched the film, an early cutting of the film, and just like, whoa.
Your co-writer.
Yeah, that moment, Sam Ashworth and I, that moment. And sort of, what do you want to, what do you add there? We just try to fill that space, you listen and having taken the emotional journey, what fills that space? What's blowing in the wind? What is out there already? What are we pulling from right now? Right. What can we pull that this film has drummed up, that's available to us right here in this moment, that would serve to sort of, usher people back into the present? Because a great film takes you right back in time in that way. I think one of the early one of the compliments that the whole film got, that we got as an ensemble of actors, early on, I heard from somebody that I respected quite a bit. They said, I tell you, 45 minutes into that thing, I thought I was watching the guys. Like I kind of forgot that I was watching a film, and it just felt like I was watching these guys. And when you're talking about Muhammad Ali and Malcolm X and Jim Brown and Sam Cooke, I mean, people that loom very large in our psyche, that's something. Anyway, so we, if the film did its job and you felt like you went on a trip, you'd gone somewhere, Sam Ashworth and I, our job was to help bring you right back. Put you back into this moment, to deliver you back into this world, and hopefully activate that thing, whatever was stirred up inside you. How do you activate that? How do you give somebody a charge now after what they've just seen?
You referred earlier to things that you've done that were not successful. I'm not aware of them. I am aware, yes, to your point. But I am aware of the things that you've done that have been phenomenally successful. You're going to have to carry Aaron Burr on your back your entire life, for better or worse, because you stamped him indelibly in our time. You're linked, exactly. And I even went back and watched the song Exploder version of Lin-Manuel Miranda.
Isn't it great? Oh, I love that. Yeah, on Netflix.
So cool. So I've now then gone and learned the song, like him writing the song of Wait For It, from that you sing. It's a really, really hard song to sing. My God, it's so friggin' fast. But anyway, like the words. And now you have this that you're going to carry forward, because your performance and the Oscar nominations and the time in which this time, which is kind of a crucible time in which this film has come out, which is the time of the Black Lives Matter movement and the time of this racial reckoning and the time of COVID and pandemic, where we're all just sitting in our homes and watching and experiencing things in ways that are very different from what came before and what will come after. It is, in a way, a beginning for you, it feels like, because this recognition doesn't come every day. It comes from a body of work and from a really great stepping up to an opportunity. So I would just ask you, sir, when you think about what are the things that you want to take forward, if this is your beginning, what do you see ahead of you?
Well, film is tricky because it's really about great filmmakers and great scripts. Exceptional filmmakers, exceptional scripts, and nothing without at least one of those things. Usually you need both.
Sure.
And so, you know, I don't really have a ton of control over those things. You know, even when I think about developing for myself, which of course I think about, and I will do, those things take a long time, which is fine. You know, I can and should be doing those things, but yeah, it's hard for me to, I don't know, imagine film after film after film. I think it's just about continuing to build those relationships. And I trust and believe that this film, I showed enough, I hope it's true of all of us, of all my brothers in this movie, and Regina included, that we showed enough that at least one more great filmmaker or one more great writer wants to bring us each something to work on. But yeah, I just have to. So I said that,
I mean, your intention does matter. In other words, like, do you want to play iconic figures like the ones that have really been the most impactful of your career? And
I love that your intention does matter. Yeah, I want to be. I want to be of good use. I want to be of good use to great filmmakers. And you know, it doesn't have to be leading parts all the time. You know, just I want to be useful. I've been thinking about coming from the theater. You know, forgive me, but I've been kind of thinking about. I've never thought about this before, but I remember my dream was to be coming out of college. I promise you, I did not see like television and film. Like I did not have stars in my eyes in that way. Like the dream for me was to be like a company member at a repertory, be a part of a repertory theater company in somewhere in the country, like to know that I was going to get to do 1 or 2 great plays a season, that I would get to play different parts, that there would be somewhere, Seattle or Portland or Utah.
But you want to play like Hamlet like that?
Right. Sure. Well, you know, I do a Hamlet in, you know, in March, and I do an August Wilson in September. You know what I mean? Right. But there would be somewhere in the country where I got to work often, and where the community kind of appreciated my skill set, you know, whatever I was bringing. And maybe you'd be a spear carrier in one play, and then you'd have you know, but that's a repertory company is about a family, and it's about getting to play different roles. So yeah, I've been thinking about Hollywood is kind of a little repertory company. Sometimes. You know, that you do these movies, and you hope that it means that people are going to then want to see you in other little parts. And so that's all I'm hoping for, is that I get to be a useful member of this Hollywood repertory company, that I get to, you know, be a part of different pieces and continue to push and push and grow. And that, you know, that I inspire some other artists out there, some filmmakers and some writers to write me some good parts.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure you will inspire. And your portrayal of Sam Cooke is incredibly inspiring. And I think the whole ensemble is really successful. I mean, I just think, you know, it's a great time to be you, is the only other thing I would say. No, it kind of is. You know, it's this creative, wonderfully creatively rich time. If you want to be playing the kinds of characters that you've played before, that have nuance and, you know, challenge to them, right? You know, that's it's a great time to be you. Thank you for being here, Leslie. Congratulations. Enjoy every moment of this journey that you're on, because it's a special time in your life, and we're so happy to be able to talk to you about it. And good luck at the Oscars.
Thank you for asking me such great questions and listen to me rattle on and on and on. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Take care. Thank you for joining us today. It was great to have you with us for this conversation with Leslie Odom Jr. Be sure to take advantage of our free trial to TheWrap Pro. That's our premium news service, and be the first to know about all our upcoming Wrap screenings and events. You can also register for upcoming screenings or catch up on any of our past screenings that you may have missed, just visit TheWrap.com, click on the Screenings tab in the main nav bar. Thanks for being here.